What's going on, guys? WhiteFox1225 here with another video, and today we're going to talk about Fallout 4 and my first impressions of the game. So obviously a lot of hype around the game. I waited a while to get in the game, and I played for about 5 or 6 hours within the last couple of days, and I've had a blast so far. But in this video I'm just going to tell you guys what I think so far and just how I'm feeling about the game. So let's first go into the graphics. So the graphics, I really like the style. That's what I'll say first off. The style is really cool. I love the color, it's not a lot of green or gray like other Fallout games. It's really colorful, and I really like the color palette they use. Boston looks great. The city looks awesome. I really like just the concept and the design they went with. The colors, everything they did was really good. Now we get into a little problems when it comes to actual graphics. They are a little old and seem a little outdated. They honestly look pretty similar to Skyrim, which obviously is a couple years old now. So they're definitely not up to par with some of the next gen games we've seen, and they definitely could be better. Now Fallout doesn't really focus on the graphics. It's more about the story and the overall world, so I'm not going to give it too much flack for that. It does have a huge world, so I get why the graphics couldn't be like top notch, but I think they could be a little better, especially in some of the character models. The faces just kind of look weird. I think they just could do some work. Now Bethesda has always kind of struggled with that, especially in like games like Oblivion. We've seen some weird stuff, but yeah, the face models are a little off, and that's probably my biggest complaint about the graphics. The graphics can look really good. Like I said, there are some really cool colorful scenes that look fantastic, but there's also some really wonky looking characters and other wilderness that just looks off and just not too good, and the textures kind of blend together. So the graphics could be a little better, but not a huge complaint. Moving on, talking about the gameplay. The gameplay is pretty good. It's kind of standard for a shooter. It's not amazing, but again, Fallout doesn't focus really on the gameplay. What I will say is the skills are really cool and in-depth. I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing around with the skills, and there's definitely a lot of different builds that you could make your characters, so a lot of options there. The companions are working a lot better than they did in Skyrim. They actually interacted with enemies a lot better. There's some skills that you can use to make them even more deadly and effective, but you can interact with them, give them commands, which is like I said, a lot better than Skyrim. I haven't had any problems where my companion got lost or stuck. It just seems to be working, like I said, a lot better than Skyrim's companions ever did. The enemies seem pretty smart. The AI is pretty good. I saw a couple times, I saved and reloaded, and enemies did different stuff. They take cover really well. They shoot pretty well, and they just don't seem stupid. They're not just standing around. So it seems like they improved that a little bit. There was a part where I got on my power armor early in the game, and it was really awesome. Definitely enjoyed it. It had a minigun. It's one of the first quests, and it's definitely a fun time. So the power armor seems really cool, and you can upgrade all that stuff, and make it your own. So I'm definitely looking forward to using the power armor more, because like I said, it was definitely some fun. But the gameplay is pretty solid, nothing wrong with it at all. But like in any Bethesda game, it's probably not the focus of the game. Like I said, the focus is more on the world and stuff. But let's go into some of the performance. So I actually had a solid 60 frames per second for most of the time I was playing. There were a few drops just at random times, not even in combat. Just at random times, sometimes it would drop to even 1 or 2 for a few seconds before hopping back up to that 60 frames per second. So it's definitely playable, which is more than I could say for a few games this year. But they could probably fix that with a patch or something. But overall, I'd say the performance is actually pretty good, at least on my end. I know some people had some issues with the performance, but not me at all. It's working really good for me. So moving on, let's talk about the story and the quest. So the beginning is really cool. Definitely, some curveballs. I like that we actually started before the blast. We got to take some look at this at E3, which we've all seen. The character creation was really on point. Probably the best character creation I'd say a Bethesda game has had so far. Just loads of customability. Going into the game, I had a vision of what I wanted my character to look like, and that's how I came out of the character creation. So that's pretty much the best thing I could say for the character creation. It's like really accurate, and you have a lot of options. The quests have been really good. All the stories have been pretty cool. The characters seem, to have their own personalities, which is always good. They're not just standard, they do, feel human, which is, always good. You got thrown into it a little quickly. I feel like not a lot of people explain to you why you woke up 200 years later. It is explained, but I feel like no one made a big deal of it, which I guess is kind of part of the post-apocalyptic world. But I would have liked to seen them, a little bit more dialogue in the beginning especially. So with all that being said, let me just go into a few little things. The settlement building so far is really awesome. I have so many like things I want to do to my settlement. A load of options. It seems like a really good system, really polished. And like I said, that's probably one of the things I'm most excited for, is to get back in game and build my settlement and the ones around me. I'm definitely excited for it. And it's one of those things that, is one of the, biggest things they added to the game, and it definitely paid off. I'm like I said, just super excited to get back in game and keep building. One small complaint I have is that the dialogue, I don't like the way they did it. I was a big fan of Skyrim's dialogue where, it was just written on the screen how you were going to say it, and then you click that and you didn't actually say it, but you just, you did say it, but your character didn't actually voice act it. I'm not a huge fan of this system, where your character, one, actually talks. I don't really like that as much because I think it takes kind of away from your experience of playing as your character, if that makes sense. And I don't like that the choices that you can make in your conversations aren't actually what you're going to say. So you can choose sarcastic, but you have no idea what your character is going to actually say. So I'm definitely not a fan of that. I can deal with it in Fallout, but if that was in Skyrim, or sorry, if that was in the next Elder Scrolls game, I would really be upset. So I'm really hoping they figure out that this isn't the best system for dialogue and they change it. But I mean, it's not a huge deal, but like I said, if it was in the Elder Scrolls, I'd be really upset. So I hope they just change it for the next Bethesda game, because I'm just not a huge fan of it. Now, just moving on to overall, the game is huge. The map is huge. I've explored like a really small fraction of it, but there's so much to do and so much to explore, so many quests, so many stories, so many people to meet. It just feels like a true Bethesda Fallout game. Now, I know I've kind of nitpicked a lot of stuff in the video, but the biggest thing is that the world feels alive, and there's so much adventure to be had just running around, and that's really what you look for in a Bethesda game. So I pointed out a couple flaws in the video, but overall, guys, I have to say I'm pretty impressed. It feels like a Fallout game. So if you didn't like Fallout before, you probably won't like this game. If you haven't liked Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls or any other Bethesda game, then this probably isn't for you. They didn't change much, but it is, again, a new Fallout game, which is not a small deal. So having a blast so far, I'm really liking my time, and I just can't wait to get back in Boston and keep playing. So if you guys are on the fence about buying the game, I would highly recommend it. And I'll definitely have more videos on Fallout, doing some guides, some more videos on my thoughts about the game. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you want to see more of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, give it a like. You can check out my Twitter and my Instagram in the description below, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.